All right, thank you very much. And again, I would also like to express thanks to Roger for putting this on. I've been wanting to have occasions for members of the Mauritanian community in Columbus to come and speak to Ohio State, mostly because a lot of people aren't aware that Columbus is home to the largest community of Mauritanians living in the United States. It's a small country, but you get 2,000 or so of them living here. That pretty much makes it the largest community in the U.S. And it's been here for a long time, basically since 1989. So they've been in this community for a long time. So it's really really I think important to kind of help build connections, raise awareness about who they are and their experiences, and to be part of the campus, get connected with the campus community. So we're very pleased to have this occasion today. So the speakers that we're having today, I'll go ahead and introduce those. We have Mr. Bokar Jang, who's currently works for the agency Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. When he was in Mauritania, he worked in the development sector there with organizations that include World Vision, and he worked with the Peace Corps while he was in Mauritania as well. Mr. Ahmed Tijan says he's lived his whole life in Mauritania, and he also worked with the Peace Corps when he lived in Mauritania. Now he works for, is it the ECDI, nonprofit organization that helps with small business loans here in Columbus. And then we have Ms. Hule Cham, who says came to the U.S. 14 years ago from Mauritania. She holds a bachelor's degree in social work and an MA in public administration. She currently works for the Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services as a case manager, community liaison. And she's also the assistant director of the FPC, which used to be known as FLAM, correct? It's a political party based in Mauritania and among the Mauritanians living abroad. And she's also the executive director of a nonprofit organization called Youth and Hope, which helps keep Mauritanian children in school, providing them with school supplies through a sponsorship program. She's also been a recent recipient of the Ambassador for Peace Award by the United Peace Federation, which is an organization based in Columbus, and that was in recognition of her social and community work in fostering justice and peace in Mauritania. So all these speakers, they're heavily involved with the Columbus community and the Mauritanian community, they're back home where they're from. So I'm quite happy to have met them in my time here in Columbus, and just, as far as knowing who I am, my name is Chris Hemig, and I just graduated last spring, finished my doctorate here in the Near Eastern Language and Cultures Department, and I did my dissertation project on development in Mauritania from the grassroots perspective. So I worked with many of these Halpular communities in Mauritania as part of my dissertation project, and I think that's about it. And I was in the Peace Corps as well, so we all can exchange stories about the Peace Corps in Mauritania, which unfortunately no longer is active in Mauritania since 2008. There. So without any further, I don't think anything further needs to be mentioned, but Mr. Bokar Jang will take the floor and give a brief introduction as to the most Americans don't know that Mauritania is even a country. And so we have to kind of off the bat kind of establish where it is, who lives there, what the culture, the climate, and so forth. So he will be presenting that.
Thank you, Roger. Christopher, Dr. Christopher Hemming. Um, Thank you for hosting us. We are really happy to be able to come here and express ourselves. Who among you have ever heard about Mauritania? Well, also quite very surprising to me, but Mauritania is the only country that in the world that has changed its geographical position. I will explain later on. It seems to be weird, but I will explain. When we were a kid, we were told that Mauritania was in West Africa. And for some political reason, right now, Mauritania is in North Africa. It's between Senegal on the south and Morocco on the north. And on the west side, we have the Atlantic coast. And on the north part, we are sharing border with Morocco and Algeria. On the east side, we are sharing the border with Mali. I don't know if you can you get me the card? Okay. On the south, it's Mali and Senegal as well. And by its size, Mauritania is a very big country because it's 1 million kilometers square. And in terms of population, there is no reliable source. But since our independence in 1960, we are 3 million until now. That's also one of our characteristics that we're gonna explain why it happened in that way. Officially, we are always 300, so nobody is added, nobody is gone away, which is not true, of course. In terms of ethnic groups who lives in Mauritania, we have the Hassaniya, which is kind of a Arabic slang. We have the Harpular / Fulani. We have the Wolofs, which is spoken also in Senegal and in Gambia as well. We have Soninkes, who is spoken widely in most all the countries in West Africa. And we have a trace of some people who speak Bambara on the southeast. Officially, those are not recognized as a country, as a national language. And official language right now is Arabic. It used to be French because we were colonized by French. In the process of the Arabization of the country, we switched from French as the official language to Arabic as the official language. Basically, this is a glance of Mauritania in terms of ethnicity. In terms of resources, Mauritania has the coast is very rich in food. Fish for fishing, and we have iron mine on the north, and we have right now gold and oil offshore. It's a very wealthy country in terms of resources, but half of the population live with less than $1.25 a day, which is a contradiction. It does mean the wealth is just 10% of the population that controls it, and the other 90% are completely living in the poverty, which is not uncommon in the third world. There has been some clash on cohabitation between the different components of Mauritania, and I think Ahmed Tijar will go through it, and my sister also we'll go through it. There are a couple of events that has been really the turning point of the clash between these different components of Mauritania. I am not going to go further, and I will let the other people also tell you what is Mauritania. And we have a large population here in Ohio, and especially in East Columbus, Cincinnati, and in Sydney, Ohio. For one reason or another, it's kind of funny. The people of West Africa live in east of Columbus, and the people of East Africa live in West Columbus. Basically, for me, I am shared between both because I have some kids who their mom is from Somalia, so it's what it is. So I have no, with no further delay, I will pass the word to my colleague Ahmed Tijan, who's going to be the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ahmed Tijan. I will, first of all, thank you for coming in. I was not expecting that large crowd, and we are surprised that no Mauritanian is here other than the panelists. So what I will go through today is the historical event, the major historical event that happened in Mauritania since independence up to today. Okay, so, 1904, Mauritania became an official colony of France. Mauritania was not an interest of British colonies or French colonies. However, the French government went to occupy Mauritania because they wanted Mauritania to be a bridge between their colonies in the north, because they colonized Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia, and they colonized Senegal, Mali, Guinea. So Mauritania was like kind of a vacuum. So they needed to fill that vacuum, and they colonized Mauritania in 1904. So then it becomes, an official territory of France. In 1960, when the French government decided to leave Mauritania. So when they decided to leave, they were in a dilemma. Either they give the country a sovereignty to become an official country, or just to leave it to belong to Senegal or Morocco, because the population, it was very, very small. It's just a deserted, place. When Senegal did not want that to happen, because they were too weak, they didn't want to share the border with Morocco, because Morocco was too strong. Probably if any conflict, Morocco will crush them and, annex them maybe. So they didn't want this. So they wanted a country to be a bridge between them and Morocco. That's why the president of Senegal advocated so hard for Mauritania to exist as a country. Now, when Mauritania gained independence, a French government also picked a person from a minority group to lead the country. This is a part of French policies, to put a minority to lead the majority. Because the reason is because if the majority leads the country, they will have their own agenda. They will not care about France. However, if the minority is leading, they will be always a conflict with the majority. And now that minority will need France, to back them up. So that was, the tactic of the French government. That's why they picked Mokhtar Dada to be the president of Mauritania in 1960s, 61, 60s, around 1960s. And since Mokhtar Dada, became a president, he was worried. He was very worried because he's from a minority group. That's why, in Mauritania, like Borkar pointed out, there's 5 ethnic groups. The Arabs, the Pulars, the Wolof, Soninkes, and the Bambara. Or there is another ethnic group which is, they speak Arabic, but they are black. So basically, right now, Mauritania is just divided in two major ethnic groups, which are the Arabs and the black Mauritanians. So the black Mauritanians, in general, they are the majority. So right now, the Arabs were worried, because they are minority leading the country. Now, what they wanted to do is to manipulate the population. That's why, like he pointed out, since 1960, Mauritania has always been 3 million. Of course, we don't have birth control, we don't have anything, we're reproducing. However, still now, officially, we are 3 million. So this is because the government, didn't want to have really the right figures of the population to be published. Therefore, the population of blacks was really threatening to the Mauritanian government. That's why also before I go to the what led to the war of Sahara, I probably will talk about some educational reforms. Mokhtar Dada, who was again the president back then, signed a law that the official language of Mauritania will be Arabic. So it was French, they switched to Arabic. And back then, they did not recognize the other ethnic groups' languages as official languages. They were totally ignored, which brought to a lot of protests because black Mauritanians wanted to study French in school and to use French as official languages, but the Arabs wanted Arab. That's why the government of Mauritania disengaged with a lot of political relation with the black African nation, and they strengthened their relationship with the northern part of Mauritania, northern part of Africa, which are the Arab countries. That's why, again, Boubacar pointed, Mauritania switched from West Africa to North Africa because the North Africa, there is something called the Arabic Maghreb, which is a union of Arab countries in the North Africa. They joined that union and disengaged with the treaties and all the relationship with the southern part of Africa. Then in 1974, Mauritania joined the Arab League. The first president of Mauritania wanted to join the Arab League because since they made the Arabic as official language, Mauritania has become officially an Arab country. So it's funny if they don't belong to the Arab League. They went to apply to belong to the Arab League and they were rejected. They were rejected by the president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, said, no, you guys cannot join this nation, this organization, because Mauritania is not an Arabic country. The Arab are a minority, so it can't happen. So they reapplied and kept on, they stressed on getting in, and the Arabic nation gave them a deal, which is really a dirty deal. They told Mauritania, okay, we'll join the league, however, we will assign you a task. The task we'll assign you is to advocate against Israel among the African nation. You gotta go there and advocate and do lobby for sanctions against Israel. So, the president of Mauritania accepted the deal, and then he started doing that dirty job. Of course, it worked because almost all the African nations put sanction against Israel. And then Mauritania joined the Arabic nation. So this, the fact that Mauritania has joined the Arabic nations really is protested by all black Mauritanians. Until nowadays, they don't want to be part of the Arabic nation because they don't believe that Mauritania is an Arabic nation. In 1976, the same first president made a speech after, the Sahara War. If we had the map, I will show you that Mauritania has a border with Morocco. But there was a portion of land called the Western Sahara. The Western Sahara was colonized by Spain. Spain left the Western Sahara without saying anything. They just left. So the land was there. Nobody knew whether it's going to be a country or part of Morocco, part of Mauritania. Morocco didn't say anything. Now the president of Mauritania thought about it. He said, well, if I go get this land, which is a little bit populated, he didn't worry about the land. Really, his interest was not the land. His interest was the population. If he got the population and add it to the Arab population, probably the Arabs will become a majority, or at least, it will increase their population. So they went there to get the land, and they find resistance from Sahara, the Sahrawis. They said, no, we want to be independent. We don't want to be part of Morocco, neither part of Mauritania. We want to be independent, which led to the Sahara War, which again led to the death of a lot of officers, a lot of black officers who went to war without even knowing what was the reason of the war. In 1978, the militaries who were carrying out the war was really frustrated because they believe this war is nonsense. It's really political strategic war without really a true national interest. They did a coup. They overthrew the president, and that was the first, in July 10th, 1978, was the first military president in Mauritania. So you can go to the next slide. Then these militaries starting overthrowing, they overthrow themselves one after another. Probably we had like 5 presidents in 5 years. They just do coups. And then in 1984, there is a unprecedented president called Muawiyah Hultaya. We all probably, Mauritanians know him. He's one of the worst probably dictators in the world. He came in 1984. He ruled the country for 24 years. He accelerated the Arabization, made the Arabic language more official. He mandated, he started, to Arabize, the ministries. He started with the Ministry of Justice. If you don't speak Arabic, you cannot work at the Ministry of Justice. Impossible. There is no way. Even if you got law degrees in Ohio State University or anywhere, it's not possible. It's not going to happen. So, this also was a plan to hire more Arabs in the governmental body, and to discharge more blacks from the government positions. So in 1986, a lot of intellectuals, black intellectuals, were arrested. The reason why of the arrest is because, first of all, the President Muawiyah traveled to the eastern part of Mauritania where their Arabs are. He went there to visit. They were greeting him with the name of Mukhtar al-Dada, who was like overthrown like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. They didn't even know that the president has changed like 5 times because they live in a rural area where no electricity, no water, nothing, no connection with the world. So he was really frustrated. And then he came to a city called Kaidi in the southern part of Mauritania, which is lived by black Mauritanians. They called him in a meeting, and the claim they were making make so much sense, and then he believed. So there is some black intellectuals who go to the black communities and give them some ideas. So the brainwashing them or doing this type of thing. So he was mad at the intellectuals, black intellectuals. He traveled to a African Union meeting, and then the presidents of Africa, a lot of them told him about a manifest written by black intellectual. Hulay's father is among those. It was written by Flam, and her father is one of the founders of Flam. When he came back to Mauritania, he decided to arrest all the intellectuals that he could arrest. Some of them died in jail. One of them, named Djigo Tafsir, Ten Yusuf Gay, who's a writer, who's a novelist, a very brilliant novelist, died in prison without reason. So then in 1989, there was a big violence. In 1989, Mauritania fought against Senegal. Again, the fight was very simple. A farmer and a camel breeder fought because the camels went inside the farm and devastated it. Two people just fighting, so it could have been contained. But then it escalated. The government of Mauritania escalated the fight. So Senegal, again, escalated the fight. So they started fighting. And then they cut the diplomatic relation between Senegal and Mauritania. So Mauritania recalled Mauritanians from Senegal. Senegal recalled the Senegalese from Mauritania. Because there were more Senegalese living in Mauritania. No, there was more Mauritanians living in Senegal than Mauritanians. When they recalled those, then Mauritania decided to expel black Mauritanians to Senegal. All this, like I said, there is one idea behind this, is to manipulate the population. They want to increase the population of Arabs and decrease the population of blacks by any means. So that's why 60,000 were expelled to Senegal, 40,000 were expelled to Mali, which is 100,000. It's a big cut. So in 2008, we had, the first democratically elected leader. Of course, officially, he is the first democratically elected because he came by election. However, the election was not actually transparent, because the militaries, they appointed a person who they wanted to run, and then they give him money and all the resources to win the election. So that's why he won the election. So of course he was the first elected, but the way he came in was still a constitutional coup. Can you go up, please? That's it. So in 2008, the first elected president decided to recall the refugees from Senegal. When they came back, they didn't give them their nationality back. They didn't get their IDs. They just came back to Mauritania to live. They gave them a very small portion of land with no development. They didn't have access to jobs. They didn't get their belongings. They left back. When they left, they didn't get it back. They're still there. They think they are just countryless living in Mauritania right now. In 2011, Mauritania decided to do a census. So, to do a census of the national wide range census to count each individual in Mauritania. So the census, again, everything is about population. The rules they applied in the north are not the same rules they applied in the south. In the north, you just come in as a Arab. If you have a witness who can witness that you are Mauritanian, they give you, they register you and give you the proper document. It's enough. In the south, you have to provide every single lot of documents, to be enrolled in the census. So right now, currently, probably 25% of Mauritanians, black Mauritanians, has not yet been registered in the census, because the way it is set up, it kind of they cannot do it. For example, I know a person here in Columbus. Her parents become U.S. citizens, so she's still a Mauritanian, but she cannot be registered because her parents have to be registered before you register. So, they linked parents to the children and children to their children. This is how it was linked to, it's kind of, you can understand the tactic behind this. So right now, the non-Arabs are treated in Mauritania as second-class citizens, have no rights. They have no rights, and there is a big struggle right now in Mauritania. They're trying to fight to get their right. However, again, the international community is not helping them, and the government of Mauritania is getting stronger and stronger. The wealth is all concentrated in 10% of the population, which are also Arabs. So basically, this is what's going on in Mauritania. All right, thank you.
All right. Yeah, and I just to give a little bit more, I happened to be able to visit one of the communities of returned refugees in 2011. And yeah, there was a lot of frustration about the fact that the promises that were extended to them as far as getting them set back up as citizens in the country, to have ability to get jobs, public services and so forth, that haven't materialized at that time it had been 3 years since they'd returned. That's a long time to just be kind of hanging out in limbo. And the chief of this community actually told me, is like, we were 100 times better living in Senegal in terms of what we had in terms of services and support, but that they were just, the limbo that they had as refugees kind of, it was no win situation for them. So they're back and they're still kind of in this existential kind of crisis. But what I'm going to talk about now is shifting gears a little bit to another issue that's rather depressing concerning Mauritanian society, and one that's actually kind of gotten the most kind of awareness within the international community, and that's the practice of slavery and its continued existence within the country. So the slide doesn't work, but that's especially in recent years, there's been a lot of international attention to this phenomenon. Mauritania was basically the last country in the world to outlaw slavery in 1981. And then laws were passed in 2007 to actually criminalize, to actually try and give teeth to that, abolition of the practice. But still since 2007, there's only been one case, or it's very, very difficult to punish somebody for having slaves in the country. And although efforts to abolish the practice actually go way back, when the French colonized it in the early 20th century, they said slavery is outlawed. But just like the Mauritanian state 80 years later, they really kind of turned a blind eye to it and didn't really affect any change. And so the practice still exists and it flourishes today. And why does that the case? It's more because it's bound up within the social hierarchies of the population of society, and therefore with political power. So it's really bound up tightly with that. And so it's really, in order to change it, you have to address the social hierarchies and the way political power is exercised in that. And that's much easier to say than it is to do. And this is not, this phenomenon, it's existed in all the ethnic groups, ethnic communities in Mauritania. It's been practiced in the Moor society, the Pular, the Soninke, the Wolof, as a matter of social hierarchy, relationships. So, efforts to eradicate it, or the spotlight on it, though, focuses mainly on the Arabs with the Haratin, the black Moors, the white Moors, black Moors, or they call themselves the Bilan and the Haratin. Is the Haratin is darker skinned who were enslaved. You know, maybe their ancestors were enslaved decades or centuries ago, and they've been, you know, hereditarily their condition of servitude has been passed down genealogically, and so it more has to do with, it has less to do with what your skin color is and more to do with who your parents are for the most part, and that's why that's the case. And so on the one hand you have, you know, the power structure. On the other hand, why hasn't there been you know, even with the laws that are passed against it, why does it still exist? There's a, you know, those who remain in that condition of servitude, they're just very vulnerable, and they are, it's hard to live in Mauritania. It's a very harsh climate, very underdeveloped, and so that some people feel that they're better off living with, working for somebody without being paid, because that person will at least give them food. And without that kind of relationship, they might starve on their own. That's part of the issue. And another one is lack of education among these people. In fact, a good friend of mine from Mauritania, you know, he was a slave as a child, but he was fortunate to get access to education when he was a kid, and he did well in school, and so he kept with it, and that allowed him to kind of break away from and become independent on his own and live as a free individual. And the other aspect is it's just, you know, within the country they have an economy of labor that doesn't reward physical labor, whether it's skilled or unskilled. You know, if you want work to be done, you know, they need the work to be done, but paying for it, that's, you know, getting paid for that is just, you know, one of the big issues is the sort of the economy of labor in that. So what I wanted to do, I was wanting to show you a brief excerpt from a documentary that CNN did 3 years ago called Slavery's Last Stronghold. It's available on YouTube, so you can, if you type that into search, you can watch it. It's about 22 minutes or so, but it has some pretty, you know, upsetting stories of people that, you know, women mostly that have talked about what, you know, how their lives have been as slaves, the kind of the brutality of you know, of their condition. They're kind of, you know, they're basically seen as not just labor property, but also like sexual property of the people that own them. And so that's, you know, it's upsetting to watch. And then at the same time, people from the government flat out deny that the practice is still taking place within the country. And it's not really that hard to understand why they would deny it. Because it's, you know, considered to be, I mean, internationally it's considered to be morally abhorrent. But as I said, without kind of real reworking of the way, you know, society is organized, the way the state itself is organized and exercises power, it's going to be a really long road to try and eradicate that from the society. But in the meantime, they have there are activist groups in the country trying to speak out and raise awareness of it. And so the state kind of, their response to that has been to put them in prison and try and silence them from speaking out. In fact, you know, two of the leading you know, outspoken critics have been in prison since last November, and you know, they were arrested on vague charges of I can't recall exact wording, but something about upsetting the social fabric, kind of being fomenting rebellion kind of thing, when they were just kind of going around the countryside giving informational talks to communities about communities of Haratin about kind of what their rights are as and so forth. And so they're, I don't know, I heard the other day that they were going to be released from prison, but I don't know if I've seen anything since then to say. So yeah, they're been in prison for almost a year as basically political prisoners. And so that's kind of, again, it's upsetting that it is the way it is. Changing it though is going to take a lot of, coming to terms within the society, being able to more effectively, include all components of society, to give them opportunities for education, for working, and and a lot of it, actually a lot of it too is outside forces, the way governance across the African continent is set up. Those kinds of factors kind of make one kind of a little pessimistic about an easy kind of change. So I think maybe that's enough for the downsides today, enough of the downers, and I'll let Hule continue on with kind of sort of basically what can be done as far as avenues for participation, inclusion, and raising awareness.
All right. Thanks, Chris. So like he said, enough downers for a day, right? No problems. Anyway, we talked about this at the meeting. We're like, okay, we're going to go to Ohio State. We're going to tell them about all these issues. But we still need to let them know how can they help us somehow. Because any help is needed. Any little bit will help because the situation is disastrous, like you have heard for the last half an hour. So we basically asked, how can Ohio State help? We kind of divided a little bit. So Ohio State can help us by basically helping educate. There are children in Mauritania that don't have access to schools. He talked about ex-refugees, which to me, if you ask me, they're still refugees in their own country because their children can have access to schools. They need school supplies and the whole nine. So Ohio State could help us with education of children back in Mauritania and possibly here. There's a huge community of people here, and if there's anything that Ohio State could help to help these people here get education, maybe when they go back at some point, they could help there and make the country a better country. Like I said, maybe the school could also help with the school supplies and health kits, because there's many issues, like many other countries in Africa, healthcare is not as available to everyone as it is in here or in Europe. Ohio State could also help us connect to other schools, get the message out, basically let people know what's going on, because the lack of awareness is really what's making this so difficult. Maybe the school could build a deeper connection between the school and the Mauritanian community that's living here. Most people don't even know where Mauritania is, let alone know that there's few thousand Mauritanians living in Columbus on the north and the east side, and some other cities in Ohio. He mentioned it, Cincinnati and Sydney. So build a bit deeper connection between the school and us, and try to see how you guys could help. And put pressure on legislators, possibly for, I know it's not easy, but hey, you never know. Put pressure on, let legislators know what's going on, hopefully to be able to put financial sanctions in Mauritanian government. And what do you expect from Ohio State students and the faculty, the student body and the teachers? Basically to build awareness, to get the message out there by writing as much as possible on Mauritania, dissertations, papers. Anything you could do to learn more and to get the message out would help. To offer, maybe for the school, could also offer language classes, like teach Pular here. Pular is one of the languages in Mauritania. And if you are adding a new foreign language to your course load, why not teach Pular here, so that people could learn more about who's Pularians, where are they from, and all that. And then we also would like to get further occasions to have these kind of events to let people know what's going on so that the word can get out there. Like they say, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thank you.
So I guess we have, I think, till 2 o'clock, right? So 10 of. Okay, so 10 minutes. That's time for a few questions to be asked. Anything that you want.
I'm very interested in the language that are spoken and the degree to which people are bilingual and multilingual across various languages, how the languages work in daily life.
It's pretty interesting to observe it because I've had to learn. I came into Peace Corps with some French, ability to communicate with people in French. And I lived with a Pular speaking community for 2 years, and so I had to learn Pular to be able to effectively communicate. And then later on, I started to learn Hassaniya Arabic. And so I've been kind of observing how people interact, and it's really pretty fascinating. I've seen, for instance, I've seen people, Pular speakers interacting with Hassaniya speakers, each speaking their own language, but having a conversation with each other. And I think on an everyday level, then it's kind of a lot of people have at least can get by in Hassaniya if they want to, because they'll need it for interacting with the kind of the dominant culture. Hassaniya speakers who live in the areas where where Pular live, a lot of them can speak Pular because they sell things to the Pular community. Same thing in the Soninke areas, those Hassaniya speakers will learn Soninke. So there's a lot of, it's a very multilingual kind of daily life. And the interesting thing, or the controversial thing, has always been at the governance administration level, the public sphere of Arabic and French, and why is French still part of the official, not official language, but part of the public sphere in education when no one speaks French as their native language. And it's basically been because of the difference between Pular, Soninke, and Wolof. They all speak their own languages. Those languages are not really close to each other. I feel fairly confident in saying that they're not mutually intelligible. So that French has kind of been their way of being able to communicate amongst themselves. And so you've got this everyday level, and then you have the sort of the broader political public level. So I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yes, we do have something to add. Actually, personally, I do. I think if the country was left just to grow naturally, they will come up with a consensus where they're going to find a common language. It's going to go across the board. But unfortunately, the Arabic having been used as a tool of oppression is kind of rejected by those who are oppressed by that language. For instance, I have my son here. If he was in Mauritania today, he goes to the elementary school, he will have to go forcibly through the Arabic language. And we are not against the Arabs, no. We are not, it has been widely spread in the Arab world that the non-Arab component of Mauritania are against the Arabs. We are not. Because we consider the world as a mosaic, and every single piece of that mosaic has its place. And nobody have the right to take it off. Some people did try, like Tito, Stalin, all those ex-communist bloc, but we see the result right now. Each one of them is getting back to their own culture. So the Czechoslovakia became Czech and Slovakia, and the same thing in Yugoslavia. So the problem for the language in Mauritania is the interference of the government and trying to channel everybody in the Arabic channel. And that problem also have a backlash somehow, because it's not you are good in Arabic that you gonna get your share in the pie. You can learn Arabic until you become doctor. If you are black, you will not get your share. So it's not a matter just of language, it has also some kind of a racial issue there. And we hope this is gonna be just the beginning of a lot to come and to understand the word. It's not easy to do it just in a couple of minutes. If I don't know.
Hi everybody, my name is Abu. I am from Mauritania. I'm a president of anti-slavery movement representing Grand Daoud among these our members. I'm a biologist, but living in Columbus since 2002. Fleeing from Mauritania, my mom died in Senegal after being forced to live in exile, and my family still lives in Senegal. I'm living here in the United States. I am not granted asylum to be able to speak about. But I see you American, great nation, great people, even if the government has another policies. About language, they're talking about language. Mauritanian polite begins in 1953 when the Arab nationalists took power in Egypt, Syria, Algeria, and Iraq. And that was to change Mauritania. You all must know that Mauritania is an African country, black African country. Arabs that immigrate from Arabia came to Mauritania, and we welcomed them. And there were empires, African empires. The empire was named as Warja Binjai. And when they come, we welcomed them. Then they had their agenda. In that time, the Arabia had turmoil like what it is right now. The history told itself. Anyway, right now, about languages, they had their agenda from the 1960s to change Mauritania to Arabic country. But in the Arabic League, there were people who told them, you can't do that. That's why Mauritania is the first country in Arabic world that claimed that it is Arabic country that stayed after independence 13 years without being a member in the Arabic League. Because there were a great opposition that Mauritania is not Arabic. Right now, for that, I'm educated in Arabic. That's the problem, but I can't get, as he said, from the elementary school to university, I did Arabic. I was sent to Libya, did my university study, come to Mauritania, find my family kicked out from my own country, and I couldn't get nothing. I tried to get out of this country and come here to the United States. I am sacrificing my life peacefully to change Mauritania to a peaceful country, to a justice country. I know you can do some. About the language, I am a teacher of Kula language. I am ready to offer free event classes here in Ohio State to better know Mauritanian society. I am very happy when I see my brother Chris. I know he is speaking language. My question is, I know you Americans, you have your the democracy. That means the power is in your hands, not in the government hands. How can you, from Ohio, you know, no president in the United States can win the elections without you, in Ohio. How you can help us to change our president, Biram Ulda, that I represent, is in jail with the vice president, with someone else, his name is Jibiso from Halpla. And for what? For nothing, to say those Arab who came from Arabia to occupy our land, no slavery, and if you get land, we are not there, because all we got our land. If they take it, that means we finish. Those went over there to tell those population, keep your land, and they are in jail. Biram Ulda was granted a UN Prize of Human Rights after Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, he the third African to get this prize. But he's in jail, and the international community is watching why you get him this prize, and he's in jail without any reason. My question is, please, what you think you can do to help Mauritania be a country of freedom, a country of justice?
Thank you. Yeah, and if you look on the back of the sheet that I handed out, there's a partial list of sources that you can turn to. Some are online, as well as the documentary, and so forth. And once again, we really appreciate the chance to present today, and have a great rest of the Friday and a good weekend.